Welcome to HezFM Movie Recap. Please subscribe to my channel.
Enjoy the movie. The skulls of deceased kings were used to fashion a mask thousands of years ago by a gang of sorcerers from the evil empire of Acheron.
Then, in order to give the mask sinister power, they offered their daughters as sacrifices to the dark gods. They then set out to subjugate the world's civilized people, murdering everyone who attempted to stand in their way. The only tribes left to rebel against them were the Barbarians, and Corin, the commander of the Cimmerians, vanquished the sorcerers and destroyed the mask in a fierce and terrible battle. Then, each tribe stored a piece of the mask so that no one could use it, but a prophecy stated that someone would attempt to put all of the parts back together. Acheron eventually collapsed as well. A rival clan is at war with the Cimmerians a few years later. Corin's pregnant wife is mortally injured during the battle, but before she passes away, Corin asks him to open her tummy and give birth to the child, whom she names Conan.
Conan's birth is seen as a potent portent because he was born on a battlefield.
Conan grows up to be a very strong teenager, yet he can also be very erratic. Conan is running late on the morning when the teenagers in the tribe take the test to determine whether or not they can become warriors, but Corin allows. Still joined him. The boys break other eggs and don't care if someone falls and gets harmed as they dash into the jungle to grab an egg and push each other to make the competition lose. Abruptly, a gang of unfamiliar people emerges from amid the trees and starts pursuing the youngsters. Conan sticks behind because he wants to show himself, while the other teenagers flee back to their tribe. When an adversary spots an opportunity to toss his bolus at Conan and causes him to fall, all of the vicious warriors encircle him. When another person tries to drag Conan away by grabbing him by the hair, Conan defends himself right away and smacks.
The guy is out.
Not content to stop there, he takes a weapon from the opponent and fights mercilessly, killing every man with violence until he is left in the jungle by himself with a large number of corpses. Shortly after, Conan makes his way back to the tribe while holding the heads of his adversaries in his hands and the trial egg in his lips. Now that Conan is a fighter, Corin shows him around his foundry and shows him how to hone a sword. After the initial attempt fails, Corin divulges the family's forging techniques, enabling Conan to forge a truly excellent sword and begin his training.
Due to his volatile nature, Conan often allows his rage get in the way of. A while later, while Conan is by himself in the forest, he witnesses a group of armored warriors with the symbol of a two-headed serpent riding by.
These men manage to reach the tribe and begin a bloody battle against the Barbarians, with both sides killing warriors everywhere. The strangers also have extremely skilled archers who kill in large numbers and warriors who destroy buildings with rocks on fire. Conan enters the fight from the forest, and Corin gets sidetracked by trying to reach him, giving the impression that he is not ready to wielding such a sword yet.
A while later, while Conan is by himself in the forest, he witnesses a group of armored warriors with the symbol of a two-headed serpent riding by.
These men manage to reach the tribe and begin a bloody battle against.
Conan is made to watch as Corin is set on fire.
Zym also brings his daughter Marike, who locates the mask shard concealed in a box beneath a floorboard with the help of her magical abilities. Zym finally gets his wish when he sets the foundry on fire, strikes Corin in the legs, and then pokes at the cauldron once more. This causes Conan to flee and grab the chains in time to prevent the cauldron from killing his father. Zym promises his daughter that he will use the mask to bring his mother back when he adds the final shard after Marike steals Corin's sword.
Conan is told to leave Corin in the foundry since Corin is unable to save him, but Conan refuses, so. To allow Conan to flee, Corin ends things on his own terms.
Conan, his hands still sore from the chains, exits the building, lamenting the loss of his tribe, then picks up a sword from the bodies and swears he will get even.
Conan became a mercenary 20 years later.
He collaborates with Artis, a pirate, and the two of them raid a slave camp. They begin by heavily damaging the camp with a series of rocks rolled down the mountain, and then they engage in hand-to-hand combat to eliminate every slave owner they can locate.
Conan is an extremely skilled fighter, and no one can ever hit him. Next, they retrieve the survivors to the city of Masantia for a revelry that features ladies, music, and booze. Abruptly, a group of men bearing the snake emblem show up at the gathering, and Conan recognizes that Captain Lucius is leading them. Conan notices that they appear to be searching for something, and that something is actually Acheron, a pickpocket. In an intentional attempt to gain more information about his opponent, Conan takes Acheron and attacks a guard before turning himself in. Conan and Acheron are soon brought to a filthy jail where offenders are employed. Conan is left in chains, and he enters and initiates a new fight after a guard makes fun of him, causing harm to the guards until they divulge Lucius's hiding place. The prisoners watching are delighted when Conan uses the guard's head to enter the captain's quarters and starts fighting more guards, killing them all. Conan then seizes Lucius and starts abusing him until he agrees to speak. Apparently, Zym has developed into a formidable shadow lord,
and he is currently searching for the pureblood descendant of the Acheron sorcerers because he needs their blood to release the mask's actual power. Conan forces him to swallow his key after Lucius gives him the location of ZYM before escorting him outside as he tells the inmates that they are now free and only need to retrieve the key from Lucius' stomach. Soon, Lucius is attacked by a massive mob of enraged men who want to kill him. As Conan leaves, Elishon tells him where to go in case he needs Conan to repay the favor. Conan begs Artis to leave him alone to carry out his retaliation when they get back together. Tamara is informed by the senior priest Fosser at a monastery that he has seen a warrior who will return to bring her back to her birthplace. Abruptly, a horde of soldiers from the snake cult, led by ZYM and an elderly Marike, arrive and assault the monastery in pursuit of the unadulterated blood. People attempt to flee as panic spreads throughout the town as a massive vehicle. Conan avoids them all and then mounts the horse again to engage in a sword fight with Remo, a snake soldier who has caught up to them. Tamara gets up from her seat as the soldiers attack the carriage. She then takes control of the vehicle by kicking off the driver and hanging precariously for a short while. She disconnects the carriage when a soldier approaches, causing it to fall off and crash on the road, delaying the soldiers. Conan approaches as well, severing the reins of a horse to capture a soldier and dragging him through the earth until he dies. Tamara leans over a Remo immediately pursues her and attacks her horse in an attempt to knock her down as she rides away more quickly. That's when Conan leaps off his own horse and uses some chains he snatches from a nearby building to take out the soldier who was pursuing him. Soon after, more soldiers show up, and Conan engages them all at once, mercilessly eliminating each one of them one by one. After that, Conan tells Remo who he is, frightening him so much that he rides off. When she gets back to town, Marike is making sure that every woman from the temple has the pure blood. Marike kills one of the women and injures the others out of lack of patience. Finding that none of them are the ones they're looking for after tasting their blood. The guards then bring Fosser, who claims there is no pure blood left, but ZYM doesn't buy it. Then ZYM tells Marike about having to witness his wife being beaten and set on fire per Fosser's orders. Fosser, however, defends this incident by stating that ZYM's wife was a crazy fanatic who desired to rule the entire region. ZYM snaps at this, hitting Fosser's head with the temple floor after hearing it. ZYM concludes at that point when a guard tells her that Remo is still pursuing a woman. The pure blood must be her. Conan follows Remo back into the forest, getting close enough to kill him and cause him to fall off the horse, knocking him unconscious. Later, Conan surmises that Tamara is the person ZYM is searching for, and Tamara insists on being brought back to her native country because she believes Conan to be the man from Fosser's vision. As night falls, Conan ties Tamara up in case she tries to break free because he intends to use her to entice ZYM. Conan puts a cloth in Tamara's mouth to stop her from asking too many questions. When Remo awakens the following morning, he informs Conan that Tamara is the last Acheron pure blood. He makes Conan an offer of a large reward for her, but instead, Conan forces Remo to lead him to ZYM by tying him to his horse. When they eventually arrive at ZYM's camp after a long journey, they discover a number of abandoned catapults. Before throwing Remo into ZYM's enormous car, Conan ties him to one of them and covers his mouth with the same cloth. Remo dies in the impact. When Marike examines the body, she discovers the piece of cloth that contains Conan's message requesting a meeting with ZYM. Marike uses her magic on the fabric to make sure Tamara is with him. Shortly afterward, ZYM and meet Conan at a deserted outpost. Tamara has her knife in her hands, so the reason she's tied to the post is purely decorative. When ZYM tries to buy Tamara, Conan says they should fight. Unexpectedly, Marike also appears and employs her magic to conjure up soldiers out of sand who launch an assault on Conan right away. They keep deflecting his blows by blending with the sand on the ground, making it extremely difficult for him to fight them. Eventually, Conan is knocked down. Then the Sandmen start hurling their weapons at Conan, who starts to flee at that point. Tamara is also approached by one of the Sandmen, but she quickly releases. She cuts herself with the knife, strikes the Sandman, and then flees as well. Conan scales the building as high as he can, and when the Sandmen pursue him, he moves quickly to push them to the ground and smashes them into tiny sand grains. Tamara is being pursued by a Sandman who makes her fall through several wooden platforms, but Conan stops him in his tracks before he can get to her. Conan finds his sword again and cuts down the final Sandman in a matter of seconds. ZYM then approaches Conan directly to engage in a sword duel. Initially, they appear to be about evenly matched, but Marike takes advantage of the opportunity to stab Conan with a boomerang dagger laced with poison after he confesses his identity. ZYM can easily overwhelm Conan at this point because he is feeling vulnerable, and he can easily throw him repeatedly to the ground. When a gap appears, Tamara pulls Conan aside and uses a torch to shoot oil spills, setting off an explosion that keeps ZYM from pursuing them. After that, Tamara and Conan dive into the water in hopes of being saved while they wait for Artist to arrive on his ship from the outer wall. Everyone is asleep on the ship later in the evening when all of a sudden the snake cult assaults. Immediately launching into battle against the soldiers, Conan, Artist, and the crew murder every man who dared to search for Tamara. Conan especially gives in to his inner fury, reminding his enemies of what they had done to his tribe before taking their lives. Tamara does her best to defend herself as more and more soldiers are thrown overboard, and in the process, she kills a few men. The crew fights back and wins the day, allowing them to sail in peace after much blood, sweat, and effort. When the ship finally reaches Zym's realm, Conan declares he is sailing off by himself. But after he leaves, Artist discloses Conan. Tamara brings the map to him since she forgot it. Conan and Tamara kiss because they are having a hard time saying goodbye. After that, they head to the closest cave to spend a few hours acting lustful toward one another. After Conan has gone to sleep, Tamara sets out to return to the ship, but Marike and her men ambush her in the middle of the forest, and they take her hostage right away. They've left by the time Conan arrives to look for her. Shortly after, Tamara is brought to see Zym by Marike, who uses her blood to verify that Tamara is a pure blood descended from the necromancers of Cerebro. Conan travels to the city of thieves in the interim in order to locate Acheron. When the proprietor of the tavern declines to answer his questions, Conan attacks him. Luckily, Acheron arrives at that moment, stops Conan before things get out of hand, and is prepared to repay Conan for letting him out of jail. After a while, they arrive at Zym's stronghold, where Conan has brought Acheron in hopes of slyly entering. Acheron uses his unique master key to unlock the doors to the underground tunnels once they learn that an old mine lies beneath the fortress. After descending a flight of stairs, the pair finds it's flooded and skeletons abound, so they have to exercise caution. Conan must swim rapidly to use his sword to slay the enormous snake that has suddenly grabbed Acheron and pulled him underwater in order to save his friend. In the meantime, Tamara is dressed by Marike in her mother's clothes and strapped to a unique device in preparation for the ritual that is about to take place. Conan and Acheron eventually emerge in a pool inside a room filled with shackled slaves and a guard who to reach the balcony after navigating the many corridors. They find Tamara is being led to Skull Cave. Telling Acheron that he has paid off his debt, Conan moves on by himself. By the time Conan gets to Skull Cave, night has fallen. Zym is harming Tamara in order to get her blood on the mask while Conan battles a few guards to get closer to the ritual. That horns now. After Zym puts it on, he tries to bring his deceased wife back to life. The side pieces are moving magically. Before Zym can complete the spell, Conan appears at that precise moment and launches an attack. All of a sudden, the cave begins to tremble and collapse. The device containing Tamara plummets into the abyss while the other cult members flee. Conan jumps after her to save her when, fortunately, the sticks on the sides cause it to become stuck on the walls. But Zym arrives too, and he starts up another sword fight with Conan while he's standing on the apparatus. After trading a few blows, the whole cave trembles once more, and the men. Conan has to hold onto Tamara's chains to keep himself from falling when the contraption slips and falls on its side. Zym follows suit and starts spinning the device, but Conan is able to get to Tamara and ultimately free her because of this. Conan and Zym continue fighting until they fall, while Tamara flees. The two men dodge the device in time, but it follows them quickly and crashes right there. In the meantime, Tamara is located by Marike following the scent of her blood, and the women also get into a brawl. When Conan hears Tamara calling his name, Zym follows him as he pursues her. In that instant, before running away, Tamara is able to punch Marike in the face and push her against the wall. But Marike can still smell her blood, so she finds her easily again and tries to kill her with a rock and a chain. Fortunately, Conan appears and stops her by severing her hand. Tamara then pushes Marike off, ultimately killing her. Later, when Conan and Tamara attempt to flee, a column collapses, causing them to separate. Moving forward, Conan runs into Zym, who acknowledges that he is using Corin's blade. After learning of this, a vengeful Conan takes his own sword in his bare hands, and since Zym has two other swords anyhow, they switch to dual wielding to resume the battle. A brutal duel breaks out, but Conan easily defeats Zym this time, to the point where he drops a sword and chooses to continue fighting with just his father's blade. Zym is soon disarmed by Conan, who then pushes him up against a wall because falling debris is obstructing his path. Then, when it becomes clear that Zym is still alive, Conan and Tamara get back together and flee the cave. He is horrified to discover his daughter's body and screams that he will exact revenge. While Tamara and Conan are racing across a bridge, a wooden board suddenly breaks, causing Tamara to fall through the gap. Fortunately, Conan arrives in time to save her by grabbing her chains. However, Zym then completes the spell to call back his deceased wife. Tamara pleads with Conan to release her as the old witch's spirit takes over her body. ZYM teases Conan for being in the same predicament again when he refuses, but Conan cuts the bridge with his sword and causes ZYM to fall to his death. That breaks the spell right away, returning Tamara to her regular state. After Conan has finished hoisting Tamara to her feet, they make a safe exit from the cave. Conan takes Tamara back to her birthplace after the snake cult is destroyed,